guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be jumping right into a book review for The Paris Apartment. I read this at the beginning of April and it was one of my book of the month choices for March. I didn't get to it in March because I had a lot to read in March. So this kind of ended my month, began my next month. So how all my book reviews go, basically we're going to talk about the plot a little bit, and then we're going to get into like my basic thoughts about it, and then we're going to talk about some spoilers. Especially in thrillers, I feel like the spoilers are really important to talk about if you want to talk about the plot at all, because I feel like the spoilers are the point in thrillers. Like, unlike romances where you're like, oh, romance, cute, thrillers are like the twist. What is going to be the twist? So we will talk about the multiple twists in this book at the end of the video. I'll mark it clearly when we get to spoilers. Other than that, let's get started. So the plot for The Paris Apartment, we are following Jess, who is our main protagonist, who is a slightly morally gray character, who is running away from some unknown issue from back home. She doesn't have anywhere to go, so she calls her brother Ben and asks if she can stay with him in his Paris apartment. Ben says yes reluctantly, but weird enough, when she shows up, he's not there. So she takes it upon herself to get involved in the mystery of Ben's disappearance, because Ben's a pretty reliable guy. She didn't expect him to go missing, especially when he said he'd be waiting up for her. So she quickly gets involved in Ben's disappearance and the mysterious tenants that live in the apartment next door. So there are many different characters that are living in this Paris apartment complex along with Ben, who are incredibly shady and seem to know more than they're letting on to Jess. Jess decides to investigate and quickly gets enmeshed in a darker side of the apartment that she never expected Ben to be involved in. So that is the basic plot, because there are spoilers galore in this thriller, but I would definitely say if you want to read a twisty, tension-filled, interesting book that reads almost like a locked room mystery, I would definitely pick this up. It is definitely similar to her previous book, The Guest List, when it comes to the amount of characters, and The Hunting Party also had a lot of characters. She really seems to like the intricacies of having a lot of characters in a book, and I think this is her best one. This one, to me, she deals with the characters the best. Each character is pretty well thought out. It's not, you're not gonna get them confused with each other. I was very impressed with how she wrote the characters. So my rating for this book, I gave it a 5-star. I know this is a bit controversial because this book has some differing opinions like her other books have, but I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was fun. It was a little slow to begin with, so keep that in mind. It is a slow beginning thriller. There's a lot to kind of explain in the beginning, but it is very important to the rest of the book. Like it makes sense. Looking back on it, it's like, okay, I really did need to like get through all of this information to really get impacted by the twists that are in the book. I think objectively the book is probably more like a 4, but I really love the ending, which we will talk about in a little bit. I absolutely love the ending of this book. So when I finished reading, I literally yelled out loud and gave it a 5-star. And I'm pretty like, I tend not to change my ratings because I like rating stuff based on my enjoyment at the time of the book. That's why I don't really like going back and rereading books, because I feel like I'm never going to enjoy them as much as I did the first time. So I'm definitely kind of a gut reaction rater, which I enjoy it. So this one definitely got a 5 because of how excited I was at the end. So quick thoughts, it's definitely slow to start. Said it before, it picks up definitely about halfway through. One of the first twists comes about halfway through, and that kind of changes the pacing of the book. So if you're having a hard time with the beginning of it, I would urge you to at least get through halfway through, and you'll basically hit the twist I'm not saying, and it hopefully will change your pace of the book, and it'll speed up from there. It definitely had a really great atmosphere, locked room-esque. It's not a true locked room because she does go out like into Paris. She does go out to other places, but it's as close to locked room as you're gonna get without being a true locker room. It's kind of like Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Technically, basically a locked room. They still go out in public every once in a while, but they are stuck coming back to the same place. She has nowhere else to go other than this Paris apartment, so I mean, she really is stuck there, which adds more of the locked room kind of esque thing. So, not a true locked room, reads like a locked room. I really loved the characters in this. The characters were very cryptic at the beginning, and she switched from chapter to chapter very quickly. Sometimes that can be annoying. I think she did a really good job in this with it because of the twist. So one character, Jess would have a few pages, and then it would switch over to one of the other tenants for like a page or two. Very quick, just to get their initial thoughts on Jess. Their cryptic thought processes about Ben and his disappearance. It was little tiny glimpses that didn't give you too much information, just enough to be like, oh, well, how was this person involved? Oh, were they even involved? How do they know Ben? So I thought that the way that she did the chapters was really, really good, and it made me really interested in all the characters because she didn't throw a bunch of non-important information at you. Like, I don't know every character's huge backstory. That wasn't important for this book, so she didn't include giant backstories for these characters. She only included what was important for each character in this book, which I appreciate, or else this book would have been 600 pages. I definitely think there was pretty good tension in this, because you technically don't know what happened to Ben. You don't know if he's alive, you don't know if he's dead, you don't know anything that happened to him in this book other than that he's gone missing, so you have no idea. And I definitely actually felt a little nervous for the main character. I feel like a lot of times in thrillers, the main character is untouchable. You don't kill off main character most of the time. In this one, I was like, maybe? So I thought that was pretty neat. It's rare when you get a thriller like that where you feel like real tension for the characters. I feel like that's much more of a horror story kind of thing where you feel a lot more scared for the main character. But I felt it a little bit in this, so it's pretty cool. There were a few twists in this. I wasn't expecting some of them. I did expect some of the other ones, but I wasn't disappointed by them. This is definitely one of those books that even if you guess the twist endings, or the twists, you'll still appreciate them because they work incredibly well with this book. So overall, I think pretty much anyone is going to enjoy reading this. This book is good for seasoned thriller readers, new thriller readers, whatever. I think this is just a really fun book, and I highly suggest it to pretty much anyone who wants to pick up a thriller. Okay, so we are going to get into spoilers. So if you don't want to see the spoilers, click off now. I'm going to put up a little thing in the side so someone doesn't accidentally click on it. But yeah, let's just get right into spoilers because there are quite a bit. So talking about spoilers, it's really important to note that you find out quickly that Ben is a writer and he's actually investigating the tenants in the apartment, including his friend upstairs, Nick, which leads to the first big spoiler, which happens about halfway through the book, which is that all the tenants are somehow related. Sophie is the matriarch of the family, married to Jacques, something like that. And she is the stepmother to his two sons that live in the apartment, and she is mother to Mimi, who also lives in the apartment with her friend. So the only one who's not really related to the rest of the cast is Mimi's roommate. I thought she'd be more important to the plot, but she's really not that important to the plot. I thought it was really cool to include this spoiler because of how slow it is building, you kind of want something to draw you back into the plot. Like, it was starting to lose me a little bit about halfway through. And then when they revealed that everyone's related or a family working together, it kind of draws you back in because you're like, oh my god, are they working together? Like, who actually made Ben disappear? Are they all involved in it? Is this going to be some Agatha Christie stuff at the end that's going to be crazy? So it definitely like gripped me back into the story, and I was all in from that point on. I also think it's really important to mention Mimi over the course of the story. She kind of snuck up on me. I did not think she would be that important. I thought she was going to be more of just like a red herring or a non-important member of the family, but she turned out to be obviously very important in this book. I thought it was really smart how Lucy Foley incorporated Mimi's character, slowly becoming obsessed with Ben, and then you slowly realizing she's obsessed with Ben. It's not just a little crush. It's, oh, she's crazy. She's like legitimately crazy. So you find out that Ben figured out that there was an underground club that this family was making their money off of, basically selling girls to the highest bidder. On top of Mimi being obsessed with Ben, you also have the addition of Sophie having a relationship with him, which is another thing that was unexpected. I probably should have seen that coming a mile away, but I did not. I also did not expect Mimi to catch them in the act, although she didn't say anything to her mom. That was kind of horrifying, but it definitely gave Mimi motive to kill Ben if she's the one who did it. So I thought that was an interesting way, again, to pull Mimi into the story, because again, I didn't think she was going to be important. And all of a sudden she has probably the best motive outside of the husband, Jacques, because of Ben's article. You find out that Nick had a somewhat kind of relationship with Ben. It seemed more of like Nick liked Ben and Ben was like taking advantage of it, because you find out he's a bit morally gray than you realize. The book definitely tried to convince you that Ben was like this high-class guy and his sister was the morally gray one, but they are much more similar than originally thought, which I also thought was pretty neat because it made a lot of the twists and turns surprising, because I was expecting him to be this just straight-laced, obnoxious kind of rich guy, and he definitely was much more involved in stuff than you realized. So that's Nick's motive, because he's jealous and because Ben's not paying attention to him as he thought Ben would once he moved into the apartment. The patriarch of the family, because of the article. The mom, because she was having an affair with Ben and Ben was using her for information. And Mimi, the daughter, because Ben doesn't actually like her. She just convinced herself that he did. Now, the ending. I was convinced that Mimi had probably killed Ben. Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting the fact that Ben was still alive. So Jess makes the discovery that Ben has been kept hidden in the attic of the apartment complex where Sophie has been keeping him alive. This is where it comes back to these morally gray characters. None of these characters are actually evil. They are just severely morally gray and make poor decisions in life consistently. I feel like it follows more of how people would actually act. Like, Sophie's not an outright killer. So she decides to basically take care of Ben because he's half alive and she can't bring herself to actually kill somebody else. So I thought that was really interesting, because most books would not do that. Most thrillers would be, okay, evil person, they killed that person, now they're going to try and get away with it. Also, what I didn't expect is Mimi is the one who killed her father trying to protect Ben. So I thought that was a really neat twist, because at this point, Mimi hates Ben. So I did not expect her to come to his rescue and kill her own father to protect him. I also thought it was super dark and twisted that Nick and Nick's brother are the ones who carried the dad out and buried him thinking it was Ben. So it wasn't even just a surprise to Jess and to us. It was also a surprise to Nick and his brother that their father is dead and Ben's alive. It almost felt like you were really in the story because you were living it with Nick, that all this was happening like real time. And it was pretty easy to put yourself like in Jess's shoes because she's so surprised. I was so surprised. I yelled out loud because I was so shocked that he was alive. And then what shocked me most of all was Sophie letting them go. I love that ending. I was expecting Jess to have to kill her or fight for Ben or them to kill Jess. That's when I started getting, I was like, oh, was I really concerned for that? Like, I was concerned for Jess. Did I really need to be really concerned? Because now I'm really concerned. But because Sophie's not a killer, and it's not like Jess has anyone she's going to tell. She has a poor relationship with the police. Ben has a poor relationship with the police. So she just let them go. And I was like, this is so different. I was not expecting this, and I love this ending. So for me, that ending really, really made the book. Her, like, Ben being alive, yeah, I was actually really happy about that, because she searched for him so hard. I would have been really sad if he was actually dead, which I'd convinced myself he was definitely dead. But Sophie letting them go is what really got me with this book. I was just like, this is awesome. That's pretty much all the spoilers that I'm going to talk about, because there's a bunch of other little ones. If you want to know the rest of the spoilers, read the book. So again, I give it a 5 stars. Like the ending. Thought the Sophie let him go was really cool. Other than that, that's all I really got to say about the book. I feel like thrillers are pretty hard to talk a lot about because there's not another one coming out. Like, this is it. This is a standalone book. I don't need to guess what happens next because there's nothing that happens next. So please like, subscribe. I would love if you guys commented down below on what you guys thought of the book, why you liked it or why you didn't like it. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next review.